At tonight's roundtable, Maura Carlin sits down with Dr. Bruce Bloom to learn about the best ways to have a healthy metabolism.
Welcome to the Roundtable. I'm Maura Carlin. It's one of the most common, if not the most common, New Year resolution: to eat healthy and lose weight. And while it may sound simple and straightforward, apparently we're not doing so well with it. American obesity rates continue to climb. So as 2019 begins, we're going to tackle the topic with an expert on diet and metabolism, Dr. Bruce Bloom, founder of Bloom Metabolic Insights. So this is your chance to ask Dr. Bloom your questions to help you figure out how to eat right and get healthy. We're live, and our contact information's on your screen. Bruce, thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with, so many of us struggle with our weight and health, but we can't seem to find that special formula or that magic bullet. Does it exist?
Well, that's one of the challenges that people face, right? There is really no magic bullet.
Really?
Well, we're all so different, Maura. It's impossible. It would be like trying to come up with one pair of eyeglasses for all people. Half the population is nearsighted, half the population is farsighted. How do you actually come up with a pair of lenses that meet the needs of everybody? It has to be very individualized.
So does that explain why, let's say, what works for my husband or my friends or my dentist cousin's brother just won't work for me or for someone else?
Of course. There are three factors that you have to take into account. Number one is genetics. And there's huge differences between people genetically. I mean, again, you can look at so many different factors. You can look at your eyes, as an example. You and I both have a pair of eyes, but we don't see the same. There's a genetic component to that. You could look at skin color. There are people born with very, very dark skin. There are people born with very light skin. It's not right or wrong or good or bad, but if you're dark skinned, your skin can protect you from ultraviolet radiation a whole lot better than people who are very light skinned. So you have to live in you have to make some adjustments. So that's one factor. The other factor is your age. Your body works differently at different stages of your life. Your needs change as you get older. The needs of I'm a 64-year-old man, soon to be 64-year-old man. My body's needs are very different than when I was a 24-year-old man. And the third factor is the effects of the environment over time. How well have you treated your body over the years? If you're a smoker, and I'm not criticizing smokers, but if you're smoking 20 cigarettes a day for 30, 40 years, your lungs are going to be pretty beat up. And they're not necessarily beat up because they're 30 or 40 years older. They're beat up because they've been stressed for all of those years.
So let's take that last example and turn it into weight loss. Okay. If you've been somebody who's maintained a steady weight all along, does that protect you from all of a sudden gaining weight when you get older? Or conversely, if you've yo-yoed all your life, gained 20 pounds, lost 20 pounds, or whatever the amount may be, how does that affect you?
Well, first and foremost, you don't make it about weight. In today, the scale gives you a number, but the scale doesn't tell you what that number means.
So what do we look at?
We have a technology. There's a technology out there. This is 2019, and there's technologies that can give you information about what makes up the composition of your weight. So how much of your body is actually your bone mass? How much of your body is muscle? How much of your body is water? How much of your body is fat? Another way of saying it, how much of your body is productive tissue versus non-productive? If you can look at your body as a business, how much of your body is overhead and how much of your body is revenue? Now, the scale doesn't tell you that. But there's ways of measuring the composition of your weight so you can get that number. Now, if it turns out that your weight's staying the same, but you're losing revenue and gaining overhead, then your body's telling you a story. It's saying, hey, I'm not so happy with the way you're treating me here. If it's conversely, you'd say, wow, my body's saying I'm really happy with the way this person is treating me.
Okay, well, we're actually going to take a quick break now. Okay. When we come back, we're going to talk about some specific diet ideas that people are following. So remember, you can ask your questions, send them in, or get on the phone now. We'll be back in a moment. That was perfect.
Do you know how to request our services? Just go to lmctv.org. Under the service banner, click Forms. In our Forms section, you can apply to be a volunteer, learn about membership, learn about corporate underwriting, request a bulletin board, coverage, DVD dubs, equipment, and PSAs.
It's all a click away at lmctv.org.
Welcome back. I'm with Dr. Bruce Bloom talking diets, particularly what works. So I've read, and I've repeatedly read, that the diet of the year is the Mediterranean diet. I guess that's high in fresh vegetables and fruit, lean protein, low carb, and olive oil. What are your thoughts on that one?
I think the Mediterranean diet is an amazingly great diet. I mean, there's been so many studies showing how effective it is. The problem is that the basis of the Mediterranean diet is pretty much farm to table. You know, the Mediterranean diet in the Mediterranean region of the world is you're basically eating fresh grown fruits and vegetables, and you're eating fish that are, you know, farm fish, you know, out of fresh water, and you're raising animals very differently than you're raising them in the United States. It's kind of impossible to recreate the Mediterranean diet in the United States.
So it's really based on that environment.
Yeah, of
You don't
course.
think it's realistic for a supermarket shopper here?
Right, I don't think it's realistic. Because how old are your vegetables? I mean, you're going to a supermarket, you're buying broccoli. I don't know if you know this, but there's no broccoli grown in this area right now. I mean, so if you're eating, which is a very good vegetable, it's probably grown 1,500, 3,000 miles away, and then it has to be transported. And once you take a living thing, which it once was, out of the ground or away from its life source, it starts the process of decay. It starts the process of breaking down. And so, you know, how fresh is it? How nutrient dense it is at that point.
Okay, so apart from moving to Greece, let's talk about another diet
Italy.
idea that I keep hearing
France.
about. Interval eating or intermittent fasting, which I understand is sort of you only eat between certain time periods and you have other time periods where there's no food?
Well, they're very different concepts. So
Okay.
intermittent fasting is really basically you're giving your body a certain amount of time to clear out the excesses of what you first brought in, right? When you bring something into the human body from the outside, right? When you eat or drink something, it goes into a tube called your digestive system, and then it gets absorbed into your body. Now, your body has to process all that, right? Some people's systems can't process it all, and it's probably a very good idea to wait a certain amount of time before you bring something in again, right?
Isn't that what sleep is?
Yes, sleep is supposed to do that, but you know, we live in a country where nobody really sleeps all that well. I mean, if you come to my office and you look at probably the #1 challenge that people have, it's really, you know, effective sleep, right? So yeah, that's a problem. You know, I mean, we're going to sleep late, we're getting up early. You know, we're living in a commuter county, so people are having to get up very early to catch a train, getting home very late. There's a lot of stressors in this environment which affects sleep. There's so many different factors. So yeah, that would be in the ideal world, a good sleep should be able to give your body a chance to clear everything out.
But otherwise, you would agree that people's bodies need a time period to clear
Oh,
out.
totally, absolutely.
Another thing that we hear about all the time, it seems like everyone is following a gluten-free diet. Are we all gluten intolerant? Or is there a benefit for those who are not gluten intolerant?
The problem with gluten, first of all, gluten's a protein, and it just so happens to be a very difficult protein to digest. Now, if you can digest it, then it's no different than you eating anything else, and it has no negative impact on your body. If you can't digest it effectively, and there's a large percentage of the population who have a hard time digesting it, then this undigested protein or this fragment gets into your small intestine where it bangs up against the lining of your small intestine, which is going to be greeted by an immune response. Your immune system is going to look at that and say, oh, that doesn't look like it's one of us, and it's going to attack it. And if it attacks it along the lining and damages the lining, that's called celiac disease. You know, you can still be gluten sensitive without having celiac disease, without having all of that damage.
Is there a benefit to following a gluten-free diet even if you're not gluten sensitive or gluten intolerant?
Not really.
Okay. Another diet we hear about is keto, which, if I understood correctly, it's like low carb, high fat, kind of
Sure.
sounds like a new formulation of Atkins.
Yeah, keto diet is an interesting concept. I mean, I think that people are starting to realize that if you overload a system on sugars for too much of your life, your system's ability to process sugars becomes a little bit more compromised. So keto is really using fat as an alternative fuel source, and it helps people initially. But you know, the idea is to get your body so it can be more efficient at processing the sugars that you eat, or eating foods where the sugars that you eat are not excessive.
Okay, well, last one we're going to hit is paleo. What is that, and how does that work?
That's a great concept. You know,
Okay.
paleo is, you know, you're going back in time and you're trying to eat the way your your ancestors ate. I don't really think that's realistic in today's world. I mean, first and foremost, the world has changed very significantly since those days. It's very hard to eat naturally. I mean, we've brought over crops from Europe and Asia, and we're growing, it's a very different environment than the environment that we evolved in. So, the concept is great. Everything is great on paper. The challenge is that we don't live on paper, and we're all very different. And, you want to follow the diet that works best for your body.
Okay, we have a viewer question. Nowadays, there are subscription services that will deliver pills and the like to you. So depending on your response to an online survey, what are your thoughts on taking supplements? Is there such a thing as too much, and do they really work?
Again, very general question. Supplements only work if your body needs that nutrient. Right? So one of the things you want to be able to define is what are the needs of your body? And if you're not providing your body with exactly what it needs, then yes, bringing in a supplement is probably a good idea.
Can you figure it out through an online survey?
Personally, I think the way you figure things out, what I've learned over the years, is because we're all so different, the way you figure it out is by actually testing give somebody a plan, have them follow the plan, and then test their body's response to the plan. So if you came in and we tested you, and we can measure certain biomarkers, and then you come back in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later after you follow the plan, we can see how your body responded to the plan. And it may turn out that that plan's a great plan for you, or it may turn out that it's not.
We're going to take another break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about detox and whatever questions you have. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Did you know that if you missed the last government meeting, you can watch it on our website? Just go to lmctv.org, click on videos, then click on municipal meetings, scroll down to find the meeting you want,
Or use the search function in the upper right corner and type in the name or date of the meeting. Then watch.
you can see the full agenda and jump to a specific agenda item. It's all a click away at lmctv.org.
Welcome back. I'm with Dr. Bruce Bloom talking diets and nutrition. And we're going to talk about detoxes or detox plans. And as I understand it, they're often used for fast weight loss or to jumpstart a diet. And the question I want to start with is, doesn't the human body detox itself naturally?
It's supposed to, but you can always hit an overload.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you can bring more into the body than the body is physically capable of processing at that point in time. So the human body is by design the greatest example of the best offense is a great defense, right? It's trying to keep things out that can hurt it, right? And it's trying to allow things in that it can benefit from. Just an example, if you go back in time, 200 years ago, people were bringing in bacteria and microorganisms and viruses without knowing it, and it was disrupting function and causing serious health challenges. In today's world, we're bringing in way too many calories. We're bringing in calories of sugars and fats in forms that the human body was never designed to eat them. We're bringing in pesticides, insecticides, heavy metals. We're bringing in so much stuff that's coming into the human body that we're overwhelming the body's ability to process it. When your body hits an overload, guess what it's going to do? It's going to put it into storage. And storage is fat. So yes, if you want to detoxify yourself, you want to help assist your body by be careful what you bring in, help assist the body's ability to get rid of the bad stuff, not the good stuff. And then, and then you can hit a reset button and you can start again.
We have another viewer question, which is, how many types of detoxes do you know of, or are there? And I guess I'm going to add, how do you pick the one that's right for you?
Again, it's very personalized and very individualized. There are some people who come in you need to sort of detox their digestive system because that's the system that has gotten damaged and injured and abused and it's not functioning effectively. There are people who come in who have to detox their liver. There's now an epidemic in this country of what they're calling non-alcoholic fatty livers. Imagine if you add some alcohol to that. And so there's detoxifications that help your liver. There's detoxifications that help your body restore blood sugar control. There's detoxification programs that help your body get rid of excess cortisol and adrenaline. So it varies from person to person.
Another viewer question. Is there an age range when metabolic rate slow down?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
What is that rate? After birth?
No, that's actually it speeds up. I think, nature is trying to, as you get older, nature is trying to slow your metabolic rates down, because the faster you burn fuel, the more you burn fuel, the more free radicals that are formed, the more oxidative stress that occurs. As you get older, your body's ability to handle that becomes compromised. So nature throws you a gift, basically, although we don't see it as a gift. It says, let's slow down your metabolic rate so we can slow down the generation of free radicals or oxidative stress, and we can prolong your life.
So is that why we keep hearing from people, oh my God, I have to eat less every year, and even as my weight goes down, I have to eat less and less?
Yeah, and also, systems get older, systems get tired. Again, I can only reference myself. I have a 64-year-old liver. I have a 64-year-old digestive system. It doesn't work as well as my 25-year-old digestive system. And so it's not right or wrong or good or bad, but yeah, everything changes. So the key is to adjust appropriately to the reality of your body. When your body says, hey, I'm not so happy with the way you're treating me anymore, then you need to step up to the plate and you need to be an advocate for your own body.
Okay. I have time for one last question, which is, I'm going to end with actually the beginning. What is the best way to get started on a journey to health and weight loss, that first step?
Well, the first step is to, my personal opinion is to call my office and have an assessment done, have a personalized assessment done so you can see what the needs of your bodies, what your body's needs are, and then customize a program to help assist your body in trying to recover whatever it is you're trying to recover. The great thing about the human body is, as long as the system isn't dead, you can improve its function. If you broke your leg, we wouldn't have to cut your leg off, but we would have to reduce stress to it to give it a chance to recover. That could be your digestive system, that could be your immune system, that could be your liver.
So this is
recover
repairable.
Function in systems that have been weakened or stressed. Absolutely. Thank God for that.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you want more information about Bruce or his practice, you can check out the website, www.bloommetabolicinsights.com. Next week's roundtable takes on the other side of the weight loss equation, exercise. Join us then and send in your questions. And for now, stay tuned for more of The Local Live.